I think there are a number of challenges. One is jobs. We have had economic growth which has not entailed increase in the number of jobs, and therefore that is one area that needs to be addressed. The other one is governance. I think infrastructure, governance, these are all very interrelated issues, and I think there is tremendous need to address these. Third one is equity and distribution of cities' resources, who gets what. Because I think at the moment what one sees is that the poor are being left out, whereas a large share of resources is being used for the kind of development which is market driven. So that is another area where a lot of work needs to be done. The disparity between the rich and the poor is increased over time. So although the poor are slightly better, in the sense they are living in a slightly better condition, but that doesn't mean that we have addressed the kind of problems they face or the lack of infrastructure and the hardships that they face. I had done a long time ago straightforward interviews of women and men living in slums in Pune and Bombay on their access to water and sanitation. And some of the stories you hear are really horrendous, which, we just turn the tap and we have water. For them, well, not all cities have that, but a lot of cities do have, at least in the better off areas. But there, women had to keep awake at night because the water came into their taps after midnight. So having worked the whole day, then they were working in the evening to collect the water and fetch it. Those all kinds of stories, not having sanitation, not having toilets and so on also is, it's not just a question of not having a facility, but also human dignity. I suppose first he or she has to be very sensitive to the kind of challenges the poor people in cities face. One of the definitions of poverty is lack of options, and it is so true. Sensitivity to these problems, and I think then you begin to look at the city differently. Then you see the stark differences between how the rich are living, or better off, I wouldn't say necessarily rich, but those who can compete in the market for housing, other facilities and so on, and those who cannot. There is a tremendous gap between them. And then you begin to see how city is dealing with them or not dealing with them, if you have that perspective developed. So I think that is really very crucial. Let me say, I'm just overwhelmed by the framework that I have seen. But what I really like about it is the core, because there you talk about putting the student who is coming in there in touch with himself, with society and the environment. I think we miss that in our education. See, for me, the challenge is how much you give to the students as theory or case studies or what have you, and how much they explore and find for themselves. The balance between these two would really determine how the teaching program works out. But I think it's, you have put in a lot of effort, and I think it's excellent.